Hey guys, it's Alex here from True Wealth Property. Just with me today is Paul Searle, the director from Ascendancy Planning, to have a chat with you today about Domacom, the fractional investing platform. So, thanks for joining me, Paul. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
And how do you fit into the model with Domacom? And can you just give us a bit of an overview of how that platform works?
Yeah, look, I'm a licensed financial planner and licensed to explain how the Domacom platform works for clients. So Domacom is a listed company on the Australian Stock Exchange, and I've put together a really neat way of allowing property, other assets, but let's talk property, to be divided up fractionally or into units. So if you've got $1 million property, we can present that to investors and they can take a part of that property and everyone can proportionally invest.
Okay. So that's referred to as like a crowdfunding campaign. How does that work for me from a property point of view? I've got a property I want to put onto the platform and I want to go to Domacom and say, hey, we want to crowdfund this this property. How does that work?
Yeah, so what you do is you provide all the details about the property, the ins and outs, where the property is, forecast rental returns, expenses. We then load that up onto the Domacom platform and clients can then view that property and all the details about it. And then ultimately set up an account and decide how much they would like to invest in that property. Yeah.
So if I'm looking to invest into one of those campaigns, is it difficult? Is it time consuming? Do I need an advanced diploma in rocket science? What's the
No, look, what you want to be able to do is as a client, put your time into investigating the underlying property. So make sure that you're comfortable with that. I'm sure that's where you would help your clients and explain that. And then once they're happy with that underlying property, have a chat to us and we will go through and set up their account. Now, the reality is it's just like setting up a bank account. It's very similar. Tax file number, name, date of birth. We set up their account and then the clients will be issued with BPay codes. So this is for them to transfer their money onto the platform.
Okay. And let's say I've just invested, say, $25,000, for example.
Yes.
Which, in the scheme of property investing is quite a small amount. And I know we can go lower than that as well. So I believe it's from $1,000 or $2,500 you can invest into property. And that just depends on each property. But when it comes to me getting access to those funds or where those funds are held, what's that like? Is it in a bank account? Does it sit in a trust account? How's that sort of look?
So when you set up the account with Domacom and you got your BPay codes and you transfer your money to the Domacom platform, at that point it's exactly the same as having another bank account. You've made no commitment. You get paid a small amount of interest, and it's actually an ANZ trust account.
Okay.
That money is sitting there. So if you transfer the money on and it sits on the platform and then you wake up in the middle of the night and go,
I want it back.
You want it back, you just log in and transfer it back to your bank account.
Okay.
So even though you've viewed the property and you go, I really, really like it, until you've actually made what we call a pledge, that money is there. You can put more money on, take it out. It is a bank account.
There's also is there a cooling off period as well when you put money onto the platform? Is there?
Yeah, so there's a 14-day cooling off period. So what that means is once you've transferred the money onto the platform into your bank account, let's call it, you can't make a commitment to a project for 14 days.
Okay. How does that work for me when I have a really hot project and I want that sort of subscribed to and fully sort of sold as quickly as possible because we've got those time constraints with a developer, for example?
You can waive that 14-day cooling off period. So we have an email address and you send that to Domacom and say you'd like to waive the 14-day cooling period. They'll reply and say, yes, that's been now turned off, and you can then commit.
You can then invest into that property.
So out of, let's just say you had 25 grand on your cash account, you don't have to put the whole 25 grand on there. You might put 5 grand. You might put 10 grand over on another project. So you have complete flexibility with how you invest that money.
With other people that are crowdfunding
absolutely
and putting in money as well. Okay, wonderful, awesome.
Yep.
So in terms of, I guess the top sort of 4 or 5 reasons for investing with Domacom as opposed to the traditional way. Obviously, the first thing I see, and I'll come to you for the others, is the deposit. So not needing to come up with $100,000 or $50,000 is a huge sort of hurdle for most investors. Other than the actual deposit side of things, what are the other sort of key benefits that you would see of investing through Domacom?
One of the main things is I believe that your asset is safe. So Domacom are not us. We're not going to underwrite the performance of the asset, but the actual asset is safe. It's held in trust with a custodian. So that's the first thing. If you've bought a share in that property or units in the property trust, you know the underlying asset is safe.
Yeah.
So that gives me, as an investor, the most comfort.
Yeah.
The second thing is if there's gearing with the property, so a loan, the awesome thing is you as an investor are not on the hook for the loan. The bank doesn't know who you are. They've lent to the trust. So it doesn't affect any of your borrowing capacity to do anything else. You're not submitting pay slips to try and get funding.
It'd be a bit difficult if there's like 100 people that are investing into the one property to get pay slips from all 100 people, right? Yeah.
So Domacom have a commercial arrangement with lenders, and that funding is provided to the trust, and you as an investor are just an investor at the bottom. You don't have any liability on that loan.
Non-recourse loan.
But it's 100% non-recourse.
Yeah, perfect. In terms of the actual structure itself of putting money into the account, I think that's pretty clear. When it comes to the additional layer of compliance or due diligence for this, is there anything different that investors should be aware of as opposed to buying directly themselves? Is there extra layers?
Yeah, look, Domacom go through a due diligence process before the property transaction can be finalised. And one of the big things is there's a valuation that Domacom does, independent valuation, to make sure that on the day when investors commit their money, that property is worth what they're paying for. So
on top of the bank's valuation.
The bank will also do their own valuation
as
well, absolutely. So they want to know how much they lend.
Yeah.
But Domacom do their own valuation. They have their lawyers check the contract as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you would do that as an individual. You would make sure you did these things. But through the Domacom platform, you're guaranteed of that level of compliance.
Yeah.
Once again, there's no underwriting or warranty made to as the performance of the investment, but from day one,
all the checks and balances have been done.
From day one, you're good to go.
Yeah.
That's quite important, I see.
Wonderful.
So
that's really good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. We'll pick up another video next, and we'll talk about some more of the more in detailed ins and outs of Domacom, the platform itself. If you are looking to get involved, touch base with either us at True Wealth Property or Paul and his team over at Ascendancy Planning, and we'd love to help. Cheers.